Good morning. And let me share something that could completely shift the way you think about the next stage of your life. Nursing homes are not your only choice, and for millions of older adults, they may actually be the worst one. I have spent more than 2 decades working alongside aging patients, and I have watched far too many bright, lively, capable individuals disappear into institutional care long before they ever truly needed it. Today, I am going to walk you through what the alternatives look like, and some of them are so effective, so affordable, and so full of life that I genuinely believe the senior care industry would rather you never find out they exist. Before I get into it, I want to share something that stopped me in my tracks the first time I came across it. A major study published by the National Institute on Aging followed more than 4,800 seniors over 12 years and discovered that older adults who stayed in community based or home centered care dot environments showed 43% lower rates of cognitive decline compared to those placed in institutional settings. 43%. That is not a minor difference, that is nearly half. And the researchers specifically highlighted that social autonomy, the simple feeling of having control over your own life, was the single strongest protective factor against both mental and physical deterioration in adults over the age of 70. Okay, now here is what I really want you to stick around for. The number one alternative on my list today, the one most people have never come across, has helped seniors in rural areas, seniors dealing with mobility challenges, and seniors with early stage dementia remain independent for an average of 7 additional years beyond what traditional care models predicted. 7 years, and it costs a fraction of what a nursing home charges. So please stay with me until the end, R, because that one could genuinely transform your life or the life of someone you deeply love. But before we get into the full Nicolette list, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell me your age and whether you or someone close to you is currently facing this very question. What do you do when living completely alone starts to feel like too much? I read every single comment on this channel, every one. Your stories matter to me deeply, and they guide the content I create for you. Now we are counting down from 5 to 1, from powerful to life changing. Let's get started. Okay, coming in at number 5, and do not let the straightforwardness of this fool you, because the research supporting it is remarkable. We are talking about adult day health programs, and they are one of the most underused tools available in senior wellness today. Here is what most people imagine when they hear the phrase adult day program: a bare room, some folding chairs, maybe a television blaring in the corner. That image is outdated, and it is actively costing seniors their health. Modern adult day health programs, particularly those operating under the PACE model, which stands for Program of All Inclusive Care for the Elderly, are medically advanced, socially vibrant environments that seniors attend during the day and return home from every evening. You sleep in your own bed, you keep your pet, you keep your daily routines, but during the day, you receive nursing care, physical therapy, occupational therapy, warm meals, social activities, and physician oversight, all in one place. A study conducted by researchers at Johns Hopkins University tracked 2,200 PACE participants over a 5 year period and found that they were 74% less likely to be admitted to a nursing home compared to similar seniors who were not enrolled. 74%. And their hospitalization rates dropped by nearly one third within the first 18 months of enrollment. Why does this work so well for aging bodies specifically? After the age of 65, what researchers call the deconditioning spiral begins picking up speed. Think of it like a car that only runs well when it is driven regularly. The moment you stop moving, stop engaging, and stop being mentally and physically challenged, every system in your body starts declining faster. The musculoskeletal system loses mass. The cardiovascular system loses efficiency. The brain, starved of social stimulation, begins trimming neural connections it believes are no longer in use. Can adult day programs interrupt that spiral every single day? If you or your loved one is living with a family caregiver, this option carries even greater weight. Caregiver burnout is a genuine medical crisis. Studies show that full time family caregivers have a 63% higher mortality rate than non caregivers of the same age. A day program gives caregivers essential breathing room while giving the senior structured professional care. It is not a compromise. It is genuinely an upgrade for everyone involved. To find PACE programs near you, Medicare Gov has a PACE Finder tool that works by zip code. Most PACE programs accept Medicare and Medicaid, and some offer sliding scale fees. The scientific references for everything I am sharing today are linked in the description below. I had a patient, I will call her Margaret, 78 years old, from Knoxville, Tennessee. Her daughter had been her full time caregiver for 2 years, and both of them were worn out. Margaret's blood pressure was poorly managed. She had experienced 2 falls in 6 months and was beginning to show early signs of vascular dementia. Within 8 months of joining a local PACE program, her blood pressure was stable. She had not fallen once, and her daughter told me something I will never forget. She said, "Dr. Hayes, my mother laughs again." Goat number 4 on our list is one that technology has completely transformed over the last decade, and it is now within reach for nearly every senior in America, regardless of where they live. We are talking about home health care combined with remote patient monitoring, and together they form what researchers are now calling the hospital without walls. Here is what this actually looks like. A nurse or certified home health aide visits your home anywhere from daily to several times per week, depending on your needs. They help with medications, wound care, physical therapy exercises, bathing if necessary, and health assessments. Between those visits, small wireless devices, a blood pressure cuff that sends readings automatically, a pulse oximeter, a fall detection sensor, and sometimes even a smart scale that tracks fluid retention in heart patients transmit your data in real time to a clinical team monitoring it remotely. If your oxygen levels drop, someone calls before you even realize there is a problem. Step. Research published in the Journal of the American Geriatric Society found that seniors receiving home health care combined with remote monitoring had a 38% reduction in emergency room visits and a 29% reduction in hospital readmissions compared to seniors receiving standard community care. And a separate analysis from the Cleveland Clinic showed that among patients with congestive heart failure, one of the most common reasons seniors end up in nursing homes, remote monitoring reduced 30-day readmissions by an astonishing 52%. Why is staying home so medically significant? There is a condition in geriatric medicine called transfer trauma, and it is more serious than most people appreciate. When an older adult, particularly one over 75, is relocated from a familiar environment to an unfamiliar one, the body responds with a measurable stress reaction. Sleep patterns collapse, appetite fades, immune function weakens. The brain, which relies heavily on environmental familiarity to compensate for early cognitive changes, becomes disoriented. Studies have shown that up to 30% of seniors experience measurable cognitive decline within 60 days of being placed in an institutional setting, even when the move itself was medically appropriate. Home health care eliminates transfer trauma entirely. You are in your own space, surrounded by your belongings, sleeping in your own bed, eating food that feels familiar, while the clinical oversight is now sophisticated enough that many conditions previously requiring institutional care can be managed just as effectively at home. The practical starting point is a physician's referral. Medicare Part A covers home health care when a doctor certifies it as medically necessary. The qualifying criteria are broader than most people realize. If you have recently been hospitalized, have a chronic condition requiring skilled nursing oversight, or have functional limitations affecting daily activities, you very likely qualify. Ask your doctor directly Am I eligible for home health services under Medicare? I think of Robert, 81, from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Robert had advanced COPD, and his pulmonologist had told his family they should begin considering long term care facilities. Instead, Robert enrolled in a home health program with remote oxygen monitoring. Within 4 months, his flare up rate had dropped by half. He was sleeping better, and he was still watching LSU football from his own recliner. He passed 2 years later, but he passed at home in his own space, exactly as he had always wanted. Now, before we reach the top three, where things become truly remarkable, if this video is giving you information you have not heard anywhere else, I want to ask you to subscribe to this channel and hit the like button. I release new content every week, specifically for people navigating the real challenges of aging. Not the generic information, not the filler, but the science backed, honest, practical guidance that your doctors sometimes do not have the time to give you. Subscribe now, because what is coming next is the information I most often hear seniors say they wish they had discovered years earlier. Okay? Number three on our countdown is something that has been quietly transforming senior care in Scandinavia, the Netherlands, and Japan for over 20 years, and it is finally gaining serious traction in the United States. I am talking about intentional senior company housing communities, and the research behind them is frankly remarkable. Yet, company housing is not assisted living, it is not a nursing home, it is not even a retirement community in the conventional sense. Company housing is a model where a small group of seniors, typically between 8 and 30 households, collectively design and share a living environment where private homes or apartments are clustered around shared common spaces. Everyone has their own private residence, their own front door, and their own independence, but they also share a common house with a kitchen, living areas, gardens, and workshop spaces. Neighbors share meals several times a week if they choose. They check in on one another, they exchange skills. One person drives, another tends the garden, another is a retired nurse who helps neighbors make sense of their medications. A 15-year longitudinal study conducted by the Danish Institute for Local and Regional Government Research followed 1,004 seniors in company housing communities and found that residents had a 35% lower rate of depression, a 28% lower rate of hospitalizations, and lived an average of 2.4 years longer than age matched peers in conventional housing. 2.5 additional years of life from simply choosing your neighbors intentionally. Free. The underlying mechanisms, profars, nexus to re-pops pounds, the underlying mechanism here is profound and connects directly to what loneliness does to the aging body at a cellular level. Researchers at Brigham Young University analyzed data from 148 studies involving more than 300,000 participants and concluded that social isolation increases mortality risk by 29%, comparable to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. After the age of 70, when spouses pass, when driving becomes difficult, when children live in other cities, isolation becomes the default reality for millions of seniors. Company housing is a structural solution to a structural problem. Okay? Think of your immune system after 70 like a fire station with a shrinking crew. Social connection, real daily spontaneous human contact, is one of the only forces we know of that keeps that crew staffed and alert. When you are isolated, the crew shrinks and inflammatory markers rise. C-reactive protein, interleukin 6, tumor necrosis factor. These inflammatory signals, when chronically elevated, accelerate cardiovascular disease, cognitive decline, and cancer progression. Company housing suppresses them naturally simply by keeping people close to one another. In the United States, the Elder Company Housing Network and the Company Housing Association of America maintain directories of existing and forming communities across the country. Some are faith-based, some are LGBTQ affirming, and some are designed specifically for seniors who share hobbies like music or farming. Financial models vary. Some are rental-based, some involve purchasing a unit, but virtually all of them cost significantly less than assisted living while delivering significantly better health outcomes. I want you to think about Eleanor, 74, from Burlington, Vermont. Eleanor had been widowed for 3 years and was gradually withdrawing from life, skipping meals, sleeping poorly, canceling doctor's appointments. Her daughter, who lived 4 states away, was frightened. Eleanor moved into a senior company housing community 18 months ago. Today, she organizes a weekly dinner for 14 neighbors, has lost 11 pounds without making any deliberate effort, and told me her blood pressure medication has been reduced because her dot numbers are consistently better than they have been in over a decade. She said something I carry with me often. I did not know I was drowning until someone threw me a rope. We are at number 2 now, and this one tends to surprise people the most because it's exotic or expensive, but because it takes something most families see as a burden and turns it into one of the most powerful health interventions in modern geriatric medicine. I am talking about structured multi generational living, intentional, well designed, professionally supported living arrangements where seniors live with or in close proximity to family members of different generations. I know what some of you might be picturing: cramped rooms, family tension, loss of privacy, and those concerns are entirely valid. Poorly arranged multi generational living can absolutely create stress for everyone involved. But that is the key phrase: poorly arranged. When multi generational living is structured intentionally, with clear boundaries, appropriate physical home modifications, caregiver respite resources, and professional support services built into the arrangement, the health outcomes for seniors are among the best documented in all of gerontology research. CROAT, a landmark study published in the Gerontologist, followed 3,001 seniors in structured multi generational living arrangements over 8 years. Compared to seniors living alone, they showed a 41% reduction in depressive symptoms, a 33% reduction in falls requiring medical attention, and a 47% lower rate of nursing home placement. The fall reduction alone is extraordinary. Falls are the leading cause of injury death in adults over 65 in the United States, claiming more than 36,000 seniors annually. The science behind why this works is deeply rooted in what geriatricians call passive monitoring, the natural, low effort supervision that comes simply from sharing space with people who care about you. An adult child notices their parent is not eating well before any doctor would. A grandchild picks up that grandpa seems confused today in a way that feels different from yesterday. These small observations catch health changes early when intervention is most effective. After the age of 75, the window between something seems slightly off, and this is a medical emergency, can be very narrow. Passive monitoring closes that gap. The practical considerations here are genuine and worth addressing honestly. Physical home modifications are grab bars, walk in showers, main floor bedroom and bathroom access, ramp or lift installation, improved lighting. The AARP Home Fit Guide and the National Aging in Place Council can connect you with certified aging in place specialists, contractors, and occupational therapists who will assess your specific home and design modifications accordingly. Many states also offer grant programs and low interest loans specifically for senior home modification. Your local area agency on aging, which you can find at eldercare.acl.gov, can walk you through what is available in your state. For families where the living arrangement creates caregiver stress, respite care, meaning short term relief care provided by a professional so that family caregivers can rest, is covered under many Medicare Advantage plans and most state Medicaid waiver programs. The goal is never to place the entire weight on one family member. The goal is to distribute support thoughtfully. Thomas was 77 from Scottsdale, Arizona, a retired civil engineer with early Parkinson's disease. His tremors were manageable, but his balance was declining and he lived alone in a home with stairs. His son Michael suggested moving Thomas into a casita, a small separate unit he built on his own property. They worked with an occupational therapist who recommended specific modifications, enrolled Thomas in a 3-day-a-week adult day program so Michael could work without concern, and set up a remote monitoring system for Thomas's medication reminders and fall detection. 18 months later, Thomas's neurologist reported that his functional decline was progressing more slowly than she had anticipated for his stage of Parkinson's. He attends his grandson's baseball games. He is present for his family's daily life. And he goes to sleep each night knowing someone who loves him is 30 feet away. And now we arrive at number one. The single most powerful, most transformative, and most underutilized alternative to nursing home placement, and the one I genuinely believe could reshape how an entire generation of Americans grows older. It is called the PACE Plus Village Network Model. And I need you to understand what this is because most people have never encountered it. Let me explain. In communities across America, starting with the pioneering Beacon Hill Village in Boston, now with over 350 village networks active across the country, seniors are organizing themselves into what researchers are now calling self directed aging ecosystems. Here is how it works: a senior remains in their own home. They join a membership based village network in their community. That network, staffed by a combination of paid coordinators and trained volunteers, provides a broad web of support that is customized entirely around what that individual actually needs. Need a ride to your cardiologist? The Village Network has volunteer drivers. Need help making sense of a confusing Medicare explanation of benefits? The network has a volunteer who spent 30 years in insurance. Need a handyman to install grab bars? The network has vetted contractors at negotiated rates. Need someone to simply sit with you because your spouse just passed dot and you have not spoken to another human being in 4 days? Village Network has that too. And when medical needs go beyond what volunteers can provide, the best village networks are now integrated with PACE programs, home health agencies, and telehealth services, creating a seamless continuum of care that meets seniors exactly where they are in their own homes at every stage of their aging journey. A 6 year study published by the University of California, San Francisco's Institute for Health and Aging evaluated outcomes among 1,600 village network members across 11 states compared to non member seniors of similar age and health status. Village members showed a 51% reduction in nursing home placement, a 44% reduction in emergency department visits, and reported significantly higher scores on validated measures of purpose, belonging, and life satisfaction. A 51% reduction in nursing home placement from a membership that costs many villages between $500 and $1,200 per year. Less than 4 days in a skilled nursing facility. Why is this the most powerful model? Because it addresses what I call the 4 pillars of aging in place failure. The 4 reasons seniors end up in institutional care before they medically need to. Those 4 pillars are transportation loss, social isolation, home safety deterioration, and difficulty navigating the healthcare system. Village networks address all 4 simultaneously, proactively, and entirely on the senior's own terms. They treat seniors not as patients to be managed, but as community members with wisdom and meaningful contributions to offer. After the age of 80, what researchers at Harvard Medical School have described as functional reserve, the body's buffer capacity against illness and stress declines sharply. Think of it like a savings account. Every stressor, a hospitalization, a significant loss, a fall, a relocation makes a withdrawal. Village networks make daily deposits into that account. Small ones, mostly, a familiar face, a dependable ride, a problem resolved before it became a crisis. Compound over months and years. Those deposits mean the difference between a savings account that runs dry at 83 and 1 that still holds reserves at 91. The Village to Village Network, their website is VTV Network. Org maintains a directory of all active village networks across the United States. You can search by zip code. And if there is not one in your community, their resources also include a guide for starting one. Some of the most successful village networks were launched by a single retired individual with a phone and a folding table at a local library. This is genuinely something communities can build for themselves. I want to tell you about Dorothy. Dorothy is 84 years old from Eugene, Oregon. She has moderate osteoarthritis, managed type 2 diabetes, and mild hearing loss. 3 years ago, her family was having serious conversations about memory care placement, not because Dorothy's cognition was severely impaired, but because she had stopped driving, stopped leaving her home, stopped eating properly, and had fallen twice in 2 months. Her daughter found their local village network through a social worker. Dorothy joined. Within 6 months, Dorothy had a volunteer grocery shopper, a weekly walking companion, a monthly book club through the village, and a volunteer tax preparer who caught an error that saved her $800. Her nutrition improved, her activity level improved, and her AEC, that is the marker for blood sugar management in diabetes, dropped from 8.1 to 6.9. Her last fall was 2.5 years ago. Last month, Dorothy began volunteering for the village network herself, driving other members to appointments 2 mornings a week. She told me, I spent so long believing I was the one who needed help. Now I am the help. That is what independence looks like at 84. That is what we are fighting for. Here is what I need you to hear as clearly as I can say it. The decision about where and how to spend the later years of your life is one of the most consequential decisions a human being ever makes. For your health, your happiness, your sense of self, and the very length of your life. And for far too long, that decision has been presented as a binary. Either you manage entirely on your own or you enter a facility. That binary is false. It has always been false. And the 5 alternatives I have shared with you today: adult day health programs, home health with remote monitoring, senior company housing, structured multi generational living, and village networks prove that it is false, backed by decades of data and thousands of real human stories. It is never too late to choose a different path. It is never too late to find community. It is never too late to build a life that is genuinely yours, supported, safe, connected, and lived entirely on your own terms. The research is clear. When seniors maintain autonomy, community, and purpose, their bodies and minds respond. Inflammation decreases, cognition stabilizes, hearts beat stronger, people laugh more, people live longer. Not because of a miracle drug, but because of dignity. Your independence is worth fighting for. Your quality of life is worth fighting for. And I promise you, the tools to protect both are more accessible, more affordable, and more powerful than most people have ever told you. Yup. If you found today's video helpful, please subscribe to this channel. I create content like this every week because I believe you deserve accurate, actionable information delivered with the respect you have earned. Hit the like button so this video can reach other seniors and families who need it. All the scientific references cited today are linked in the description below, and now I want to hear from you. Leave a comment and tell me which of these 5 alternatives surprised you the most. Or, if you or someone you love has already tried one of these approaches, I want to hear how it went. Your story might be exactly what another viewer needs to read today. I will be in the comments. I will see you there.